Welcome back to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. Let's turn now to our world lead. A chilly reception as President Obama arrived in Saudi Arabia today for a summit of Gulf countries. There were no kisses from the kingdom or even a handshake from King Salman, the way he did with other leaders who arrived earlier today. Instead, Saudi Arabia dispatched the governor of its capital city of Riyadh. CNN's Michelle Kaczynski is traveling with President Obama. Michelle, what's the source of this apparent tension?
Hi, Jake. Oh, well, there are many sources. And, the White House is pushing back a little bit on that being a snub. They said originally the Saudis wanted to have a larger welcoming ceremony, but the White House decided to show up later. And the White House now is saying that this bilateral meeting today with the Saudi king went better than expected, that it lasted 2.5 hours, that it was unusual in its breadth, and it wasn't perfunctory as it sometimes is. In fact, they're describing this as a clearing of the air on virtually all of these tensions. And here are a few of them. I mean, the Iran nuclear deal. The Saudis were already upset about this. The U.S. negotiating with Iran, which is Saudi Arabia's biggest rival. In Syria, the Saudis were upset that President Obama didn't meet his red line on chemical weapons and strike President Assad as he originally said he would. Saudis would also like to know what exactly is the end game in Syria. What is the U.S.'s goal there? The White House says that the Saudi king and President Obama tonight even talked about that Atlantic article that has made so many waves, that raised questions yet again over whether President Obama even sees Saudi Arabia as a real ally and whether he thinks that they're pulling their weight in the fight against ISIS. And then, of course, is the September 11th question, this legislation that is pending in the Senate but is now on hold over whether American victims of terror should be able to sue Saudi Arabia, as well as the pending declassification of those 28 pages from the 9/11 Commission report that could implicate some Saudis. Now, in this bilateral meeting tonight, it's not as if everything was solved, but the White House says that this is progress and at least clearing the air on some of this awkwardness and on a more serious level, the tensions that were really affecting this relationship, Jake.
All right, Michelle Kaczynski traveling with President Obama. Thank you.
Some pretty powerful visuals here as our president is escorted by black and white horses carrying U.S. and Saudi Arabian flags. I mean, this is pomp and circumstance, as you would presume in Riyadh, as big as it gets. And as I said earlier, certainly a contrast to some of the other arrivals that Americans have received in recent years.
Yeah, if you're just tuning in right now, this is the president arriving at the Royal Palace Court there, where he's about to receive a medal as well. It's a collar presentation of a famous medal that the president, the king, will be handing to him. King Salman will be handled. They're having coffee at the time, just shortly after that ceremony, and then he's going to go to a banquet a short time later. But this is the official arrival ceremony.
And in the Middle East, respect, as Colonel Tony Shaffer said, is so important. How they greet you, how you are greeted, how you are received, is oftentimes a very big symbol of how much you are valued or how much you are respected. And a ceremony like this, a reception like this, I think says a lot, a great deal about how the kingdom views President Trump.
Especially after we just read those headlines of, giving advice to the places he's visiting to make sure that President Trump wins in this thing. That's not what this is about at all. This is about the president also showing that same amount of respect back to Saudi Arabia and other places he's going to visit. As you saw there, though, quite a warm welcome.
Just at a high level, and Bree, take a look at this too. This is kind of amazing. I don't know I've ever seen this before. Look how many cameras they have here, and how many shots are available to the press, and the way in which the Saudi Arabia, look at this, wide shots. Think how many cameras are here, and you know that the king and his team made sure that this was captured from all angles to capture this sort of arrival of this president. It's pretty amazing. I can't recall ever seeing something like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think, they know that all eyes are on them right now, and they know that they have to pull out all the stops. And I think the fact that Donald Trump isn't bowing immediately automatically means that we're a step ahead from the last presidency.
Absolutely. It's such a great observation, though. It really is. Most of the time you see one steady cam shot. This is clearly something where they wanted it, the size and scope of it to be visually understood and seen.
Yeah, our tech expertise, Clayton Morris.
It's an important point and a great one, Clayton. I love that. Bree, hang on. We want to bring in Benjamin Hall, who's live for us following all of this in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Benjamin, as you said, it is very hot there, and this is the first stop for what seems to be a very busy day ahead.
Yeah, that's right. Look, you only have to look around the city of Riyadh to see what a welcome President Trump is being given at the moment. In the last few days, we've been here driving around the city, and you see U.S. flags everywhere you drive alongside Saudi flags. There are images of President Trump on huge billboards all across this city. They are rolling out the red carpet because they are so honored that he has picked Saudi Arabia as the first stop on his first foreign trip. And of course, you know, most presidents, the past 5 presidents in fact, have picked countries like the UK or Canada to go to, far safer options. President Trump coming here right to the very heart of the Middle East, and what we are seeing now is so symbolic. The level of pomp and circumstance really shows how important this relationship is, and of course that's all tied into how much they see the relationship moving forward compared to the Obama administration, reaching out as they are. And President Trump has spoken very favorably about this relationship. So we are seeing this. And just looking at the schedule that lies ahead, it is chock-a-block, and it is full of grand events. We're seeing horses alongside the beast as it arrives at the Royal Palace. And we will see a combination of very formal events coming forward. And of course, President Trump will have to try and find rest as best he can in between. But it's going to be incredibly busy for him. Guys?
And thanks to Benjamin Hall, live for us there in Riyadh in 110-degree heat, setting the scene for us. Ben, stand by, because as we're watching now the president shaking hands. There's the First Lady, Melania Trump, and shaking hands with that right here at the red carpet at the Royal Court as they're entering for this ceremony.
Let's take a listen for a minute.
Yeah, no, sure.
Some of the horns dying down.
Trumpets blaring as the president approaches. I mean, it's a really, really powerful imagery. President coming out of his motorcade, walking around, greeting King Salman right at the edge of the red carpet, and a brief exchange. And now as they formally walk in toward the palace.
You can't help but think of the challenges that we face today on the world stage. I mean, we were just talking to Rick Payton about ISIS and sort of the way forward with that. I mean, this is such an important time to have this meeting, to show each other that mutual respect. And it's refreshing to see this warm welcome. I think we're needing this right now.
And here, I guess we'll take a listen to the American National Anthem.
Of the national anthem there in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's a
really
pretty powerful moment. You think you'd see that before?
It's an amazing, amazing sight. We'll have to get the brain room to look into, you know, if that is what they do each and every time. But certainly this level of pomp and circumstance. The cameras, Clayton, was such a. I mean, this is produced for television. No, not every
absolutely.
On a foreign trip, you don't see it like this usually.
I mean, they know the world's eyes are on them as well. It's not just about this president.